Invito gentili ospiti.
Well, I kindly ask all of you to take a seat because we're going to resume in a few moments. Thank you. I would like to call on stage Giorgio Gobbi, Managing Director of IDB, Italian Design Brand, and Stefano Rosa Uliana, CEO from the Gruppo Calligaris. Where are you?
C'è un video di Calligaris.
We're gonna show a video.
Design, la cui sfida più grande è evolvere e competere in un mondo sempre più frenetico, digitale e globale. La soluzione è una concreta innovazione del rapporto industria-finanza. Un progetto di investitori privati a supporto della realtà industriale con una visione al servizio dello sviluppo di lungo periodo. Un nuovo modo di fare impresa. Il gruppo è composto da aziende medio-piccole, ma grandi persone, testimoni dell'eccellenza e dell'artigianalità italiana. Una struttura in cui ciascuna azienda può accelerare lo sviluppo mantenendo intatta la propria identità. Piccole realtà che beneficiano di grandi opportunità. L'imprenditore, seppur indipendente, non è più solo, ma socio di un progetto di più ampie dimensioni, dove la condivisione è lo strumento chiave. La piattaforma offre le vitamine per la crescita, strutture e strumenti per affrontare mercati competitivi nel rispetto del patrimonio creativo, ove necessario affiancamento per affrontare passaggi generazionali. IDB è una guida sicura verso uno sviluppo globale per creare valore e non solo ricchezza. Un innovativo progetto integrato di design strategico e dei servizi che in pochi anni ha raggiunto grandi risultati e che continuerà a crescere. Perché una collana è molto di più di un semplice insieme di perle.
Vediamo l'altro.
We have discovered even more how important the home is. The things that make us love it and really make it ours. We are what we live in. Now, more than ever, a home is for living, dining, sleeping, working, playing, and everything in between. A sequence of daily rituals that give objects a real meaning. Here, day after day, we write our history. This was the challenge, imagining new products and new living spaces, making them real, turning them into something personal, creating a total look for the contemporary home, understanding the most diverse personalities and dressing their styles. Because our mission is to offer authentic experiences thanks to a contemporary design for daily life. Innovating, customizing, making beauty functional, anticipating desires, the characteristics that define our being. Only this way can we create spaces that suit your mood, my life, my style. The time of changes is knocking on the door, and Calligaris is always open to challenges. Faithful to its heritage and increasingly digital, keeping in touch with an entirely connected world, even closer to its customers and their desires. With 100 years of experience and 100% Italian DNA, proud of its roots and of a territory made of people who love hard work and enjoy the sweetness of living in harmony with nature. A nature that respects. The first value for those who think of the entire planet as a home. Come in, take a seat, and make yourself at home. Welcome to the new Calligaris world.
Benissimo, due video.
Okay, very well. Well, we had a short video and a consumer-focused video. Well, they were quite short, but I think that they gave us a picture of the dynamics we have. So I can say that you are two groups in this sector of Italian design. Well, Andrea Bonomi said this morning about something about the sector. So it's something that hasn't come up yet. So we still don't have a standard model. We are talking about business, we are talking about big businesses that are put together, but we haven't found yet a model that can work for everybody. Well, starting with Giorgio, what kind of model do you have, or how do you work when it comes to setting up your group? Would you like to sum up a little bit what is part of your group? Yeah. As Bonomi said, I don't think there will be a winning model, since the Italian design world is very varied. I mean, there is a diversity among companies, among businesses, so we can't talk about a winning model. Italian design brands has put together 7 companies, 3 strategic areas, business areas, 3 from furniture and furnishing, 2 in the lighting sector, Davide, Droppi and Flexolite, and 2 in the contract sector, and they have they deal with the fashion, luxury fashion, modern and Ceracchi. Our model is a unique one, since we are talking about relationships between people and businesses, people with different backgrounds from other projects. So the quality of the businesses belonging to the group plays a crucial role. So we want also to place value on the quality of the businessmen, not just on the companies. So this is our perspective. We are not just talking about good or well-performing companies. As Americans said, if something works, then there's nothing to change. Well, it's an investment in development, right? Yes, it's an investment in development. That's right. Well, we're going to go back to this topic later. These were very interesting aspects I think we should dwell on. Stefano, what about you? You are an historical company in this sector, but the ownership changed. Well, the company dates back to 97 years ago. A turning point was before the crisis in 2008, sorry. So from a producer, from manufacturer to a retail company in 2008, 2009. So this activity was born, and some new difficulties came up. We had to understand how to produce and manufacture and distribute 12,000 customers. That's what we had at that time. And we discovered and we had to shift from a manufacturer of chairs to a manufacturer of look items and furnishings, etc., for kitchen, etc. So due to the crisis and due to this new project, things got complicated, and we found out that we had to bring our experience into the company, above all where we were weaker compared to other sectors. In 2017, we bought Ritalia, which is an upholstery company, and then in 2008, with other acquisitions and then other synergic companies within the group, Luce, which is a lighting company. We didn't want to stop. Our strategy and our idea was to put together within this group different companies, with different core businesses. At the moment, we don't have something similar, and we also wanted to make the most of the synergy, offering new channels. We wanted to bring the core competencies within our company. Well, can you give us examples of that? Upholstery, for example, furniture abroad, well, they are above all padded and upholstered, and we brought these new core competence within the company in order to improve the identity and the marketing channel. and also the master factory as far as upholstery is concerned, also for Caligari. This is something we can exploit and use within the group. For lighting fixtures, we will do Caligari, we will manufacture Caligari lighting fixtures, right? Yes, this is something we talked about last year. Well, this is a little bit higher compared to the other brands. In 2021, we would like to present and submit a lighting project that can be made available for the group. Synergy, well, this is one of the core topics in design relationships and connections, well, industrial synergies and investigations of products, staff synergies. We are talking about separate companies, right? Yes, we have different legal entities. One of them is affiliated company, which is controlled by Caligari. This is something we haven't talked about yet. It's not something in the pipeline, let's say. But apart from that, in terms of organization, we can have a very different synergies. You also have a more complex structure, right? Yes, a little bit more. I mean, compared to the group of Stefano, which is centered and focused on the company, our companies are different pearls or different parts that make a whole, and we have to find the synergies, and these has different characteristics in our group, even if it's quite important as well. Everyone is successful in their sector, and the size is a middle size or small size, and we are talking about between 10 and 40 million turnover. So the idea is to help them do things, something they can't do, but we also have to keep their DNA, their identity value, their brand value, etc., through industrialization processes, not just to reduce the costs, but also to preserve the quality. And we also have a central corporate structure, and digital transformation is one of the pillars of the key sectors. So we need skilled people who are able to do things and teach things as well in our culture, not just in a contract, in B2B businesses with architectural studios, etc., and customers. And we also need some funds, some money in order to find the right resources, in order to find the right prospects and customers, companies to make investments, etc. So we are talking about soft synergies. Our group was set up by putting together different companies with different backgrounds, and the businessmen take part in the group, they exchange ideas and input. Sometimes they submit projects that turn out to be interesting. So what do? We have central staff, and we are supported by them, but we support other companies. We have, for example, a branch in China, which is just one of the examples I could give. Also for the distribution, right? Yes, by exception. I mean, we give a lot of freedom to all of them in their market, and we have a go-to-market strategy that is quite important. Then we also have some cases like China, in which we have an interior market, internal market, and it's not just an exporting market, so it's important to have an organizational structure. So when you set up a branch, then you also deal with not just a leader, but well, also the structure of the advisors, they just give like vitamins to they feed other companies, digitalization, etc. This is something that is also very important and that must be taken into account, and we want to make it happen. How can you strengthen the EBITDA rate and other rates? I think it's easier for them. Well, it's not just a sum of single turnovers. No, it's not. But each and every company had a growth path before getting into the group, and the EBITDA was already good, and they become part of our group. Due to this reason, they do have a board, and we just want to improve that. We want to use tools that are not always used. It's not just about the development of the top line of the turnovers or also cost reduction, etc. Because when we talk about these companies, it can be also a risk. So the profitability, which is a crucial factor for growth, yes, from the operational point of view, and not only. Yes, let's talk about the changes that took place in the markets after the crisis. Public health crisis. So what kind of impact did you have as a company? How did you address these challenges? Everything started with the lockdown, the shutdown in China, so we have been working with them for several years. How big is China for you? Asia accounts for more than 10% of the turnover. In 2006, we also set up a branch in Japan, and we wanted to open a branch in China this year. Well, the project was postponed to next year. So the crisis affected us. April and May were very complicated from different points of view and in different regards. But all in all, our business for Caligari is a made-stock model, so we could keep on providing products, so there was no setback. We didn't stop, we never stopped. Even if we had some bottlenecks and some hardships we had to go through, we had to reduce costs and we were ready to start again. No project was stopped, or we didn't launch new projects, but there was also at the beginning of the year a new brand, because one of the problems we have in our group is to avoid overlapping. That is to say, this year we had to reshuffle a little bit our company, and we had to sort out things, and this was with Caligari, but also with other companies. So we tried to focus on the brand awareness, and after the reopening, we have launched new collections. Well, nothing good, as Americans say, but in fact, things are doing well, are quite good. And what do you see by the end of the year? I want to be cautious, but the outlooks are unexpected. We also had an emergency plan, which is very cautious as well, because the results, the outcomes we achieved up to now are quite satisfactory. And then let's wait for October to make a better judgment. Caligari's, well, e-commerce, what do you have concerning e-commerce? Yeah. Among all the projects we had this year, there is a project to rebranding. So we want to make our website new, and now it's a kind of omni-channel website which is managed by us, which is supported by the retail partners we have worldwide, throughout the world. So France, UK, and Germany, and then US. We want to support our partners, and we know that the purchase process for our products has different offline and online relationships, so we are getting ready for that. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense to do what also other companies are doing. So I think we will keep on doing that. So you're going to start this year, right? In July? Yes, in July. And what about your expectations in terms of turnover? 1%? I don't know. Well, I think if I consider also last year's summit, Cola, the American company, said that the e-commerce turnover is no longer relevant because, well, we are always talking about turnover, so everything is turnover. So regardless of website, regardless of point of sale, store, etc. So whatever you get, I mean, everything is money, everything is turnover. I think like between 1% and 4% as a forecast for our turnover. Do you have any projects? 5 out of 7 companies. Now, our companies, our businesses have a specific strategy and values that are independent from each other, and we have to speed up a little bit things because during the lockdown and pandemic we slowed down a lot. So we try to define everything better, and we are trying to implement everything. And that, if we will it or not, if you want it or not, it's good to have a strategy, and I think it's good to organize your company to bring forward the selection process online remotely. And this year, between this year and next year, we will have new forms of work, 5 new projects, e-commerce and not only. And this is Lorenza. We were having dinner last night, and she said that the e-commerce platform is working well, and they saw that the resellers, other resellers and competitors had better results compared to what they achieved through the platform. So the company has to do it, otherwise it's the market that does it. Two surprising things in our sector, and I agree with what Lorenzo was saying. A consumer was rediscovered. Well, he was completely unknown, let's say, and even when it comes to using online platforms, so e-commerce, etc. So when you have a customer in front of you in a store, then you have all the physical tools that you can use. Here in the e-commerce world, you don't have all these tools, so the consumer is not always taken into account. But it's important to focus on the brands of our sector virtually and also physically, and the consistency in terms of market is not always the same. Sometimes we have tools from third parties that can be used. This is digital transformation. We have to take over our strategy for these 5 different companies, and this is something that is about the digital consumption of the consumer. Let's talk about 2020. The Salone is not going to take place. It's something we would like to hope for. But in any case, there's also a new aspect on that. I mean, as Cibic has said, we never have to miss the crisis or a crisis, since a crisis is a chance as well. Well, what do you think about that? The video is just an example of a discovery that we had this year. We thought about different solutions, and the showroom and something we renewed, etc., for next week. And then we decided to focus on videos, emotional videos, to present the brand and the company and also the product range. So this is something that we did for each and every brand, where you have a video, and we discovered a new way of communicating. I think next year we will have the Salone, and we won't give up this tool because they were very effective and the feedback of our customers were very good. Yeah, it's about communicating with the trade world. Yeah, that's true. But in videos we have both materials for trade and for consumers. We also have like technical videos where you present the technical characteristics. Yes, we put together some videos. We have the emotional part beginning and then the technical part at the end. So this is the way we chose to go through. And also the contamination between household things, what you do at home and what you do at work. So these two aspects that come together and they go hand in hand. We are already doing something and we want to keep doing that. What about you? Well, it's a shame that the Salone is not going to take place this year. But in any case, Aldo has said something I fully share. Our company tried to make the most of what we have, both in the short term. We enhanced the digital contents, B2B, for example, and we have to reorganize the supply chain. And this is something we did together, conferences, and all the commercial aspects, they were discussed online, remotely, and then contract, customs, etc. They are organizing webinars, video conferences every day, but also in a more structural perspective with our meetings. They take place once a month, and during the pandemic we used to meet like twice or three times a week. They were very close to each other and they were in a row, and in this case and we went back to normality. And we are also thinking about how to cope with the Euroluce Salone in 2021. We will be using fewer novelties. We won't have so many new products. This is a moment in which we can present and introduce the brand, our strategy, a kind of meeting point, which is not necessarily bound to this kind of bulimia, this lust, this strive for a product that we always have, because we always want new products. So we will focus on the old ones, but we will try to present them as good as well as possible. Well, and they will be like distributed over time, right? Yes, the brand, whatever revolves around the brand, initiatives, e-commerce, configurators, whatever revolves around the brand, and not just focus on the presentation of the item of the last article that has just been made. Very clear. Asia, this is the market that restarted as a first one. And we had like a serious phase at first. Yeah, China, not Asia. Asia has not started again. I mean, it's not recovered yet, but China has. You have a branch. Do you have any positive signals coming from the positive ideas, etc.? Well, shall I answer your question? Yes, we do have positive signs. So we are quite optimistic from April on. May, etc. Well, from this period on, we saw the first positive signals, and then we also have this kind of surprise. Japan, we have had a branch there since 2006. Japan has never stopped and is performing better than last year. So a lot of hopes, a lot of projects that are only on hold, that they are still in the pipeline, and they will be resumed. We will resume as much as possible. So two different speeds. China has recovered quite well and fast for the B2B, with a lot of stuff coming from the partners, etc. The stores are still a little relatively empty, not a lot of mobility of the architects, of the people, etc. But the projects have started again, and we see that China is among our three furnishing companies, one of the best ones, and the rate is quite satisfactory for all of us. The rest of Asia, much less. I mean, Singapore, Bangkok, everything is in a kind of still stand. And what about Europe? Europe is getting out of the shutdown. We are having the same speed more or less, and Europe, in our case, has surprisingly kept sending orders, but not that much. I mean, a little bit more, a little bit less than last year, but there was no decrease, no drop. Germany, such countries, they never stopped. What about you? Yeah, same here. I mean, after the reopening, Europe could perform quite well, and Italy, in this month and a half, Italy is doing very, very well against all odds. And I think that this is something that surprised all of us. And UK as a group, I mean, the situation was not properly managed there. And we could not really see what was going on, but Europe has done very, very well. Last question: what about your design of the shareholder? You would like to acquire, to buy new companies, to extend the range? Well, the shareholder has joined the group less than 2 years ago, so we are not talking about acquiring new companies now. There's already something in the pipeline underway, but we haven't any tangible projects yet. We hope we will announce something new in the next 10 months. The prices didn't drop, didn't decrease, but this is the main topic. So the buyer is available, the seller has the price, can fix a price. So we have to meet, we have to be willing to sell or to buy if you are on the other side. This is something that is feasible. I am quite optimistic about that and confident, but you acquire like 100%, right? This is a strategy of the group, also to avoid the brand management related issues and the conflicts. So the holding acquires companies 100%. So then this is something that also affects the interests of the single companies being a part of the group. And what about you? This is a different model. This is one of the two guidelines of the group. So we have selections in terms of size. We are talking about 140 million euros, and it is important to have a businessman, a good businessman, and this also limits the range you have when it comes to making a choice. We will have to select things, you know, when you talk about your wife and another person, another woman maybe you love at the same time, it's something similar. I mean, we have to stay in touch with different companies and the businesses, also from the social point of view. And the pricing, the prices that are getting higher is not an issue, because we are talking about a 5-year time frame. So the private equity goes beyond this middle term. It's a long-term decision. So what matters are the results, the outcomes of the group, or the results that are incorporated into the group. And you have postponed something. You said, yes, this is something we assessed before the shutdown, around the half of 2021. In the best case scenario, we can do something about the nothing changes in terms of projects, whatever we have. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. After the hygienization that is necessary, I would like to call Del Pastro, CEO of Covidio, and the architect Stefano Boeri, who is architect and the founder of the Triennale in Milan, president, sorry, of the Triennale in Milan. So I'm going to start with the video.
Well, exactly 5 years ago, the 14th of October 2014, we opened the vertical floor to the first tenants, the families that are entering in the building. And well, I could say that now we start to consider this experiment as a kind of successful experiment. The first trees were entering 7 years ago, and now after 7 years of trees living here, of 5 years of people, inhabitants, tenants living here, we could say that the capacity of the building to absorb CO2 and transform it in oxygen, the capacity of this building to clean the air of Milan, absorbing the dust of the urban pollution, the multiplication of species. All this means that we are very proud. It's so rare in the life of an architect to see the result of such an experimental building, and I'm very proud of how this building is representative for Milano. But I'm also very proud because I think that we are now replicating this concept of a building who introduced living nature not only as a decoration but as a basic component of its life. Well, we are reproducing this and regenerating and interpreting this concept in many other parts of the world. In China, in Holland, where we are building the first social housing, vertical floors, so a building will be affordable for everybody. In Belgium, in France, in Mexico, in Northern Africa, in India. Well, in many other parts of the world, we are trying to redesign and interpret It's the story of the vertical forest. And this is probably something which makes what we have done important and makes us so proud. Thank you so much.
Benissimo, ecco, scusate, erano tutti e due video, ognuno aveva il video di presentazione.
So we had two videos, two introducing videos. Alexei, in your video you mentioned you're active in Paris, Berlin and Milan. And Milan is the capital of your business, and you are specialized in hotellerie and offices. Will the office change after COVID-19 and remote working? How will this impact your projects? Can you please give us a picture, because you work mainly in Milan, in Italy. Good morning, everyone. Of course, Milan is our main hub in Italy. We worked hard to focus our investment in the city, which had a very positive trend over the past few years. So, COVID aside, we are confident this trend will keep going upwards in the future. As of now, we are trying to learn from the situation. We are still studying the evolution of our product. We will see a strong acceleration of some trends that were already present in the world of office furniture before COVID-19. We heard that the offices come into the home. I would say it's the other way around, because the boundaries between offices, hotels, homes are becoming more and more blurred. We believe that the concept of well-being is crucial. well-being has to enter the office, and saying that the home goes into the office follows the same trend. Of course, we will have to work on flexibility, technology, efficiency, because these were already part of our offer before COVID-19. We are all trying to evolve, but we are still studying because we are in the thick of it. We haven't left the situation behind us yet, but we are prompted to evolve. Last week, we met with 10 multinationals working in Italy. We wanted to understand what's the perception of the end customer with regard to offices. Everybody is trying to understand what this home working, remote working is about, and what their impact will be on the world of offices. And the real challenge is finding a common ground with offices that are spaces for well-being, offices that really enable performances and activities. So we have to wake up and go to work. So you will have to entice people into going to work so that they can actually feel at home. Yes, this is part of our strategy. I agree. The office, in my opinion, needs to enable people to work in an effective and efficient way through technology and the organization of space. This is really evolving. So to give you an idea, typical office from 20 years ago had desk or communal area, but 80% of the space was occupied by desk, and the rest was just communal spaces. And now it's the other way around. We're creating new spaces with services that really can increase productivity and enhance a sense of well-being. So this is our take on the concept of office. Mr. Boeri, you are an architect who worked both residential and offices projects. How do you see the evolution of the city? We are keeping an eye on it. With Milan, the issue is delicate because it is a small, compact city, dense with iconic landmark, and Milan thrives on this density. So we will have to keep a close eye on what will happen in the future. I believe, as an urbanist, that the right way should be to rethink the city. Milan is a kind of archipelago of areas that can play an important role if they could rediscover their own identity and their also self-sufficiency. So in the future, Milan might become a city of urban villages. This doesn't mean losing the concept of center of the city, but I think what you learn through direct experience is difficult to unlearn. So our experience with digital and remote working and the quality of life based on the proximity of space cannot be forgotten. And I think the relationship between home and office should be reinterpreted. I think a great challenge for Milan would be conquer the concept of metropolis. because there's so many small cities around the city of Milan. Tomorrow we will launch with the municipality and the region the creation of more green spaces. So you refer to Greater Milan. Yes. So we are thinking of replacing or moving around urban life from, the center. Milan shouldn't lose its strength. So multi-centers, the creation of multiple centers. This is in line with the trends mentioned by Cibic, who underlined the importance of the rebirth of the province. Yes. More than province, we have so many historical villages, 6,000, and 2,000 of them are not inhabited. I think the 70s and the 80s really changed the urban landscapes. So we should orient this process towards the small villages, because they have an incredible heritage. So you mean people who would continue working in Milan but living in these villages? There are interesting projects. For example, this issue of small villages can be found in France, UK, Spain, etc. So they are creating in some places this center of proximity. So Chamber of Commerce's great distribution. They are reshaping the work, delocalizing the urban life to small villages. There are some supply chains that can really support the life in the small centers. There is also an issue of connectivity, proximity. I think there is a huge possibility, a huge chance, even in the real estate sector. Okay, Alexei, going back to the concept of Milan, you give me some numbers on what there's still left to do in Milan with regard to offices and real estate. Yes, Milan represents an incredible opportunity in Europe. We are one of the first RT company in Europe, and we believe in Milan. It is a crucial city for our strategy, and it has a great potential in line with what the architect said. And this is valid both for offices and homes. I know the home market better, but the Grade A accounts for 50-20% of what we have in Milan. So this says a lot on what there's still left to do to regenerate the city, the real estate stock. And this is not something you find easily in other countries that in the past years invested more, were more active than Italy. Going back to the topic we discussed before, Italy has an incredible landscape and amazing villages, but one of the main topics for development is being capable of attracting international capital to help development. Milan had a huge growth, and around 70-75% of investment came from foreign investors, big foreign investors, and this helped moving the city beyond our fantasy. So you have we have to work on this front to have a sustainable development over time. We're all happy with this growth, but if we compare that to the flow of capitals of London or Paris or even Barcelona or Munich, there's still a lot to do. So there is a great opportunity, but we should also pull together and simplify the administrative processes so that this city can actually grow on this virtuous path and maybe drive the growth of other Italian provinces, those that are closer to Milan maybe, and then the villages. But as of now, Milan is the only European city in Italy that attracts foreign investments. Rome has historically been a great real estate market, lost its pool. So I think the time we're living in now should prompt us to reflect on the recovery and regrowth. Those who will create a recovery plan that's credible will have a competitive advantage compared to other countries. This is my view. International investors only invest in regenerated offices, so 85%. Well, the figures I gave are general, so both on core and value-added buildings. So you have a development projects, you have a real estate or an area that has to be completely regenerated. So the figures are general. Milan was capable of attracting, being an attractive place for both markets, but we will have to lay the foundations to be even more attractive and interesting with projects that can involve public authorities and create a critical mass of foreign and local investors and partnerships, and put forward new innovative ideas. I think Milan had very interesting projects, and they are a great starting point. Let's think, for example, of Porta Nuova, City Life, Symbiosis. We are regenerating the urban tissue, so it's a requalification of the city, and you give new life, completely new life to the area. Well, the architect mentioned the possibility of having many centers within the city. Yes, it could help regenerating the center of Milan. Let's be honest. The most impressive thing about the situation is the center of Milan. I walk around Milan and I don't see a lot of things in the center. I think it's becoming quite void, and I believe we should regenerate the center, bringing people living in the center, because if people don't live here, the energy, the economic energy will be diluted, and that's quite scary, because a city with a center that's void and poor and empty, with closed shops, it's not a city that can attract tourists, for example. So investments for real estate for young people. In Barcelona or in Munich, they had great offer for young people, while Milan is lagging behind on this front. So, for example, working on offices, we should really transform the offices from the 80s, 70s, which is completely outdated. Or we could maybe transform the old buildings of the center and take them and transform it into co-working spaces or living spaces, because I'm quite scared about what I see around here. You see the difference between empty downtown. It's not a downtown, it's a historical center. The soul of the city should be here. So seeing a social desert here is a problem for everybody, not a psychological or symbolic level. It's also an economic issue. Do you think the Olympic Games can help? I think Expo was a chance for incredible synergy. A city that has excellent players who don't interact, and suddenly we started interacting. I think the Olympics can help in the same sense. I'm quite positive. We'll have to see if things slow down, what are the projects. Unfortunately, we cannot have a full control of that, but I'm quite positive. Will you be playing a role in the Olympics, or will you just work on offices? We could be a partner for the development of the city with regard to the Olympics. We already said that we are starting on the Scalo di Porta Romana, where the Olympic Village would be. We are following the procedure and we will take part to the tender. So we would like to work on that. I think Olympic Games are another chance of great visibility and something we should leverage the best that we can. It will also be a test, because the organization, the success of the event would be a test for all of us. We should really be focused to really do well in this test. So you always receive more and more turnkey requests. Since here we have important design companies here, what needs can you meet in terms of collaboration, partnerships? Focus is requalification of real estate in city centers. We worked a lot in this. We have over 50 buildings in the center of Milan, and we're also developers. So from greenfield, we create new buildings for office buildings. One is Symbiosis in the area of Piazzale Lodi and Scalo di Porta Romana. There we have the headquarters of Fastweb. We are working on the headquarters of Beringeline. We are building a school. Then in the Romolo area, we created the sign close to the underground stop. We worked on the AN headquarters and of another company as well. So if a company wants a new headquarters, we can fulfill that need. Our development approach is very flexible. We can develop the fit out, so furniture. Often, since we have international experience, we are often asked to work on fit out, furniture, etc. And this is crucial for the evolution of the product. You want functionality in terms of performances, in terms of design. We all want to live in a space that is comfortable and pleasant. So we work with the final user trying to create office spaces that are aligned with these features. I'm happy to be here today because I would be really interested in maybe working together. We are trying to evolve our product, and fit out and furniture need to go in the same direction. We want to provide a further service to our clients. Architect, you are president of the Triennale. Can you tell us more, and where will Triennale go? The financial situation was quite difficult, but with an incredible board of directors, we changed direction and changed style. We thought of a Triennale that could promote culture, produce culture, rather than just making spaces available. We want to produce culture with important partners who will support us in the future and are crucial for us. Our challenge is the 23rd Triennale. In 2023, we will celebrate our 100th anniversary, and we built an international network of institutions working with us. So we will discuss the same topics we are discussing today. What will it be? What will mean living together? We will discuss the flexibility of home spaces. I think all architects and designers will be looking into how to transform home and office spaces and use roofs, because I think they will be one of the biggest challenges. Bring on the roofs what we had in courtyards, so semi-public use of roofs, and I think flexibility in spaces will be crucial. We will have limited spaces, and we should maybe be able to adapt them to the needs of those who live in them. So what we've seen in the past few months will be studied, because the impact of this will not be absorbed just in a few months. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
We still have 2 speeches. Gabriele Del Torchio.
CEO di
President, Chairman, and the CEO of Design Holding, and Dario Rinero, CEO of Lifestyle Design. 2 similar names, so I think we love each other. Well, sometimes it can be misleading. Well, it's difficult not to make mistakes. I have to tell the truth. You have followed us, and you saw that we have no videos, we have nothing. We are similar. We can sing something. Yeah, it will be like more casual, easier, let's say. I think it was a morning with a lot of food for thought. We talked about architecture, we talked about design. You are the most important players in Italy, and we are talking about 2 groups that come from a merger of leading companies in their sectors. And, well, you are very well equipped, but how do you feel? Do you feel like you are small, big enough? Who would like to start, to break the ice? What kind of vision do you have? Well, I'm going to start talking. So thank you for inviting me, first of all, because Design Holding is takes part in this summit for the first time, and there are a lot of takeaways, take-home messages that I would like to share with other people. And my wish, this is something you also said a couple of moments ago, is that these meetings take place more and more often with people that do the same job as ours. But we just organize one meeting per year, actually. A meeting a year, yeah, that's enough, fair enough, just to start. And but I would like to mention Batman as well, a kind of joke. The night, well, the darkest night is always the dawn, the one of dawn. And when we, of the sun set, sorry, the sunrise. And this is a great opportunity for all of us. We have a lot of inputs. We are willing to change. We will have a lot of... we will have to be committed. And Mr. Floridi was saying that this is the moment in which we get in touch with each other and we look for new behavioral models and patterns. We don't feel big, we don't feel small. Nevertheless, we are aware that this kind of fragmentation we have in the design world in Italy. Why in Italy? Since this kind of Italianness is worldwide renowned, and we want to stick to this kind of excellence over the next few years. In order to do that, we have to look for new forms of collaboration and partnership that can be done in many different ways. The design holding was set up just to allow putting together different companies, so aggregate companies, and this is something that is more and more demanding in our world. I don't know whether I answered your question in a suitable way, but yeah, that was a perfect answer. Yeah, he said everything. And he said it so well that it is difficult to repeat what he said. I mean, you can't say the same thing. No, I won't. But I would like to thank Panbianco and Interni, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the press as well. I think that a lot of our success is also due to the press that follows us with a lot of love. As far as the crisis is concerned, Gabriele has said the right things, and something I would like to share, this is something personal, actually. Well, I always talk about that. Everyone knows about the impact of the crisis, all the public health issues, etc. But the crisis is also a great opportunity to change. Well, a lot of industrial developments that took place after or due to the crisis. So we have to say that. We have to say that, and this is great for our future. And for those who are committed to doing that, and this is an extraordinary moment, a great opportunity for our companies. And we do it in different markets, in different ways, etc. As far as the project is concerned, I'm also convinced, and something that we have been saying for 4 or 5 years, 1 million company is the name of the project. We want to set up a group with a turnover of 1 billion. We are halfway, let's say. And I think after 5 years that we still have some values we'd like to stick to. Well, do 2005, 2006, and this is something that is important for all the manufacturers. So it makes sense if we manufacture more than 5-6 million cars upwards, and Fusu was very normal, but with some anticipation, well, they also got all the companies for the market in a profitable way. So we are talking about aggregations, and they produce and manufacture more than 6,000 million cars. Then we also have other manufacturers that manufacture top products, and this is something that applies to our sector as well. And from my point of view, the market is like a body, well, with different foodstuff, and otherwise food doesn't work with our body. I think that we have to work in order to create and set up a system for the Italian system, and this is made up of different companies and businesses. Some of them are big groups and corporates with 2, 3, 4 billion turnover. Then we'll have like SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises of extraordinary families and households willing to move forward, but also companies in stock exchange, etc., private equities, as Mr. Bonomi said this morning. Well, it's something that is really, really good for all of us, and we do work as they do, just to help this system, to support this system, to protect ourselves, to protect other people with this thinking, with this idea, with this privilege. But we are talking about the 100-year old brands. Something I am impressed by, and this is something that I also repeated with Giorgio Gobbi before, when we talk about synergies, right? If I acquire new companies with a specific turnover, well, the idea is, 1 + 1 is like 3, so you have to have like a multiplying effect. I mean, more growth, faster growth, healthier growth. What Bonomi was saying, we still don't know how it works, and we haven't outlined a specific model or pattern yet. How are you dealing with that? I mean, 1 + 1 must be like 3 and not 2. And what are you doing to manage all that? Well, Andrea has said something right. I mean, there's no model of reference, there's no pattern of reference. But is it necessary? That's the question I ask myself. I mean, we have different groups, we have different companies, and it's something which is really different. And this is a kind of input, this is a kind of opportunity. And then we are also controlled by a private equity fund like Bonomi. So we have joint venture between two important funds, and this is also a far-sighted decision. A colleague of ours was speaking about very short-term private equities. This is not our cup of tea. I mean, we want to revolve around industrial values. And just to get to your question, how can we support companies on this growth path? Well, the name of the game is using synergies. Synergies are paramount, are a key element in our vision. And this is something that doesn't last just 1 year. I mean, we were set up at the end of 2018. That was the first moment in which we had the opportunity to introduce ourselves. Salone del Mobile in 2009, we had the opportunity to to introduce our brand. And then we need a lot of different time frames in order to get a more in-depth insight into the topic. And we are working based on this logic, industrial synergies, first of all, because industrial aspects are paramount. Industrial synergies, are based on two great sectors, furniture on the one hand and lighting fixtures on the other hand. Three great brands, Arclinia, B&B and Marsalto. These brands are trying to find new industrial synergies and new machines, new plants, new companies. Same applies to our friends from the lighting sector and industry, Floss and Louis Porsche. These are the two stakeholders. Then we have digitalization. Molura is in front of me. I'm looking at him. He was one of the forerunner in the Italian scenario, and it doesn't just mean e-commerce. This is one of the paths we want to go. We are there. We had a very positive Scandinavian experience, which is really advanced from this point of view. Yes, e-commerce, maybe, but not the other ones. Sorry, Bolsen, e-commerce, right? Floss, e-commerce, BNB, e-commerce. But now we have a project that should end by the end of the year to have a common platform for e-commerce. This is a fundamental element since we have all the logistic elements, and only such a company can face all this. But the digitalization doesn't mean only that. I also believe omnichannel. In omnichannel, I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. If we hadn't had COVID, we would have opened a new store in Miami. And we have digital aspects on the one hand, digital layout aspects on the other hand. We have a very broad, a very wide product range. And if we think we can bring everything into our stores, then it's like a huge store. This is B&B and Maxalto. I'm talking about these two brands. And in the London store and in Paris as well, we will have a kind of mixture of Floss, of Louis Pulse, etc. So different brands that are put together within the same store, the same POS. And the third aspect is the retail related aspect. We flexi stores, for example, not because we want to turn ourselves as fashion companies do into direct points of sales, but because we think that it is important to have suitable areas, ad hoc areas, where we can coordinate with each other, preserving our identity, but trying to work together. Last but not least, and I really appreciated what Alexei said, we have contract. I mean, contract is another great chance for all of us. So the intra-brand collaboration with people from the furniture sector. Well, this is a synergy in any case, and this is something I would like to share with you. And then I'm gonna stop by saying that we would like to acquire new companies, buy new companies. There are some projects that are ongoing. We would like to acquire companies that share their DNA with us in terms of profitability, values, philosophy, principles of DNA. That's all. That's all. I'm just going to do a little bit on this topic. Synergies and effectiveness is something we talk a lot about. You have been working together for several years, right? Yes, several years, but above all, I would like to say that we always look for companies with an inborn potential. What can we achieve with all that? From synergies, we can get something else. I mean, if you find a company with an inborn potential, then you can help it express their or its potential. It's something different. It's not just about buying leather, like 32 euros, and then we can buy it all together with a price of 29.5 euros. It's not about that. Logistic can be based on this parameter, but when we talk about companies, we are really interested in companies that have a potential that they couldn't develop yet. I'm going to give you an example. In terms of group, we have been working for 4 years with an ERP system that we will be launching in 2024. A lot of people, a huge investment, etc. So you provide an ERP system to a company, and the company has a great improvement. I mean, they move forward. This is not a synergy, in my opinion. This is a help. This is an aid. Then we will have a CRM system in the second half of the year. This is a kind of help you give the company when it comes to achieving their potential. Then we also have another aspect, effectiveness and synergy in terms of size, etc. So demanagerialization, internationalization. We are far away from Italy, also from this point of view. So we also have a couple of branches of companies in the US. So it's not just about Italy. It's a more global and comprehensive vision of business. Well, in terms of internationalization, most turnover is generated by Italian companies, Ginos, Ruminerba, etc. And what would you like to do now? Would you like to have a more international group, or will you stick to an Italian core? Well, it's also about the turnover, etc. But yeah, just allow me to comment a little bit on what Dario was saying. Our idea of synergy is not just about this. I mean, life is made of tangible things. Synergy is a kind of hybrid dimension to have a CRM, ERP, something that single companies couldn't afford. Well, internationalization is already a fact. 85% of our sales, they go to foreign markets through different channels, maybe Italian distributors. But when it comes to looking for new perspectives, we really care about Italy. We really care about Europe, but we also take a glance, take a look at other parts of the world. I'm going to give you an example. This is goes in the same direction. Scandinavia, for example, Scandi Hub. What is a Scandi Hub? What do we mean by that? Louis Paulsen, we wanted to support Louis Paulsen, trying to have all the other companies around this group so that the company can be acknowledged also in terms of international presence. So as a potential target for acquisition, for purchase, this aspect must be built upon day after day, day by day. So this is a path we wanted to pursue, to follow with a lot of attention. I think that our world, design, furniture, etc., is based on a great ability of businessmen. Businessmen are characterized by a couple of things. First of all, they are passionate about what they do. Without passion, we can't do anything big, anything important. And secondly, innovation. The most important target is Italy, because here we have most chances. Yes, we are a little bit more international in terms of vision. Our shareholder is an American one. And this is something that says a lot about us. Then we have China after the US. So we are a little bit more shifted abroad. And when we take a look at our brand, we have to know that 83% of the high-end products are Italian products. So when we take a look at top companies, we have to think that 80% of the companies are based in Italy. So this is something that makes everything easier. I mean, it's easier to find something in Italy rather than in Germany. Concerning the retail part, retail is very interesting in many countries, and our multi-brand project started in the US. With McKinsey, we carried out a survey, a study, and some interesting things came out of this study. So we started in the US. So we care about Italy, we care about all the other countries. There are some countries that are completely not explored for the Italian design. Brazil at the moment, for example, is going through a lot of hardships and difficulties. We are talking about 120% unemployment.
È ancora molto sotto traccia che può diventare molto.
Duty duty level, and this is something that makes everything more difficult for the Italian market when it comes to getting into that market. What about the stock exchange? So being there at the stock exchange with the holding, what kind of vision do you have also for the future?
La quotazione in borsa rimane sempre.
We always have the option of going into the stock exchange because that's the easiest thing, the easiest market to approach. But before by a way out or before opting for stock exchange, we have to grow. So we were founded a year ago. So our turnover nowadays is 5,062 million. Our EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA is 23%, which is really excellent. Not only as a remuneration for our shareholders, but also in terms of creation of internal resources to fund our growth. The goal is 1 billion or maybe more, who knows? So you want to accelerate your internal growth. Yes, we have all the potential. We have our brands are very well known in Italy and in Europe. So we have great chances. One of your shareholders is from the US in the office space. The fact that you are growing with acquisitions changed their approach to lifestyle design. Maybe they were more diversified and now are more have a different. Now they have a different focus. The group has 2 billion turnover roughly, and our ambition for growth is shared by Franco Bianchi, the group CEO, and by the shareholders, because we want to create a body with 2 lungs. One is the office and the other one would be us. We have great opportunities, 2 different sectors, 2 geographical areas that are different and different life cycles. So they are very positive about our growth program. We did a very important acquisition during lockdown. It was a tough moment, but we made it, and they support our project over the very long term. I always tell this anecdote. When I met Dick Ayworth, who's the 2nd generation, now he's the emeritus president, he's 64, and now his son Matthew is president. When I met him, the first thing he asked me was, what do you do when you don't work? How do you spend your time? And this wasn't in the top 10 of the questions I was expecting. And then he asked me, where do you think the group will be in 25 years? We were on the stock market, and we thought every 3 months. So our next 3 months was the only vision we had. So he asked me what was my vision for the group in 25 years. So our shareholder is with us for the very long term, and for him, 2 years or 5 years are just nothing. They want to know what we will do with these brands in the next 50 years and what our legacy will be. They're super passionate about this project, about the fact that it's really complementary, and about the skills our managers bring. We mentioned the merge between office and home. Are you interested in joining Hayward's project in America? Maybe your home products don't fit into the office space. We think all the companies of the group for the office sector we mean office furniture. Office furniture can be used in the home. We're not very clear about what will happen in the office market in the US. Will they be back 100% in the office or 50% in the office? Hayworth is creating a catalog that can be used at home as well. Hayworth product, and we're trying to be aware of the new developments in the office world and the home world. You are the two big players in the office space. I think you get the same news and the same numbers. Ignoring the price factor, why an entrepreneur, maybe prompted by an advisor, why an entrepreneur could ask what they could do with design holding on or lifestyle design. What makes you stand out? I think the quality of our proposal, an entrepreneur who would want to work with us has an important vision of development for his or her company. We let the entrepreneur guide the company. We want to be majority. We have the majority, but the leader is the entrepreneur because he already led and he knows what to do. But we want to create a synergy. We want to collaborate and create value for everyone. We are very picky. We're very selective. For us, price does not matter. We want to share the same values. We want to see the potential of the target, and we want to have them in our group a distinctive proposition, to have a good value proposition. Yes, I agree. But David, when you mentioned price, I don't want to reduce things to price. There's many entrepreneurs who love the companies and the people, and you have to give them an idea of the project. You have to convince them of the love you have for the project much before talking about money and figures. People are really truly in love with their companies and with their product. Gabriele and I look at very similar companies, sometimes the same companies. We have a similar product in terms of dimensions and ambitions. They're much better than us as of now, so of course we look at the same companies. A difference would be that Gabriele mentioned we are not a private equity with a view of 3-5 years, but they are an institutional way of investing. We opt maybe for industrial investor. So the story ends in a different way. What I would say to entrepreneurs is, if you want to maximize your return on investment, probably their project is more interesting for you. Or if you want to stay and build with us, with a minority share, a project with us for 10-15 years, maybe we would be a better partner. So this is the difference. I think the timeline. So you're in a constant beauty contest. We try. The fact that you're two groups with similar size, I think it actually prompts you to improve. While if you have a group that's by far larger than others, things are not even. we want to send a good message to a country that is often too hard on itself. A good competitor is much better than a bad ally, because you compete on quality. You can win or lose, but if you're good, you can learn losing as well. If there's respect and if there's an ethical attitude, it's great to be able to compete. We share a goal. We want to set the foundation for design to thrive here in Italy. This is crucial. We've seen too many sectors that let go of this country. We have this great opportunity. Even the smaller colleagues who spoke before, they can really be a stimulus to improve things. May the best one win, of course, but we all win. We want for the Italian industrial system to win. Please always remember that what allowed us to be here now won't get us across in the next 50 years. So we cannot say we always did it like this, we have to keep like this. Because if we look at the development of companies in Northern Europe, we see an increasing quality in Asia. And probably they will want to hire European designers in the future. So I think the industry needs to be aware. It is a very fragile sector, still too small and too fragmented. We have to say that.
Gruppi che cercano di fare qualche cosa in un paese.
If nobody wants to say that, two groups will say that, because we have to be honest. The government and Federlegno don't do enough for this sector. We have companies who work hard, who are truly international, who do their best. We have to pay a lot of attention, and the next 5 to 10 years will be crucial for this. You said we discover the customer. If I was to propose a challenge to this industrial system, is that you cannot let other players distribute all of your products. You have to start understanding the customers, because if you don't look after your customers, somebody else will. We have to be aware that time is shorter now. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I hope this was interesting and you had a nice day. And thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.